What's going on, everybody? This is Highly Articulated. I am Adam, and today I am very excited to be unboxing all four of the Fantastic Four retro carded figures from the Marvel Legends line. I've been sitting on these figures for a while because I was putting the foursome together slowly. I was a little bit late on getting these figures. I didn't pre-order them. I didn't initially get an order in anywhere, and I thought I was going to skip them. But then I picked one up on a bit of a discount, and then I decided that I would try to pick them all up if they were all on discount, which I did, and I'm very, very happy that I did. They are fantastic looking figures. Fantastic Four is one of those teams that I've always been a big fan of, but has never been my favorite. As any of you that sort of follow the channel or know me is aware, I'm very much an X-Men guy as far as Marvel comics go. But the Fantastic Four has always been fascinating to me. The kind of the galaxy exploring scientific kind of stuff. The more, I don't want to say highbrow, but there's something about the Fantastic Four that just has a little bit of a different feel to it, and I always really like that. So, like I said, very excited to get these figures. They come on these really great retro cards. I find these retro cards to be a little bit big, a little bit too big for my preferences. But then again, I'm an opener, so they're all coming out of the box anyway. If I'm being perfectly honest, I'm probably not going to keep these cards. I may for a minute, and then the next time I sort of do a purge, I will probably recycle all of them. But on the back of the card, very much like the old sort of Toy Biz figures, we've got sort of the animated graphic for each character. The animation sort of styled drawings for what functionality they have or what you can do as far as part swap, stuff like that. A little bit of a bio. We've got the full wave sort of depicted there. I didn't go for the baddies. I didn't go for Psycho Man or High Evolutionary. The Fantastic Four was enough for me. Largely because it's not a group where I'm going to be pursuing sort of all the villains or anything like that. So I thought if I just get the four, I'll be happy with that, and I am very much. So yeah, the cards look great, the figures look great. Let's get them out of the box. So here they all are out of the box. These are fantastic looking figures. I'll go over a few of the details, a couple of the paint apps, stuff like that. I'm not really going to go over articulation because these are Marvel Legends. If you've got, even 3 or 4 Marvel Legends, you're going to be pretty familiar with the articulation scheme. I'll only sort of note things if they are a little bit unique or a little bit different or sort of out of the ordinary for a Marvel Legends figure. I'm gonna go, in order of how I've sort of got them on the table here, left to right, and then give my final thoughts. And yeah, first off, of course, we have the Human Torch. Just a couple things. The paint apps are pretty decent on this. I love the translucent red. He's not, see-through or anything like that, but with the red, it does a good job of kind of hiding the joint pieces. So like you don't see the pegs that sort of connect pieces. You don't see most of that except for the ankle because it's a little bit thinner. I don't know if you're going to catch that sort of on the video or not. As far as Deco goes, there's some lines painted on him. Those black lines are painted on. The flames on his wrists, the flames on the very top of his head are painted. They are more opaque, so that's presumably just painted over the translucent red plastic. This little flame neck piece just pops right on. It's just molded perfectly to the body, to the upper torso, and it looks really really good. The problem is it doesn't stay on, so that's something to keep in mind when you're posing, that you may need to blue tack that on or something like that if you get an angle where that's it's okay. But as soon as you go up more than horizontal, it's going to shift a little bit, but just something to think about. Um, these hands, like I said, come with the flame sort of molded on, and then that is painted. As far as accessories go, this guy does come with translucent red fists, as well as the flame effects, which are kind of cool. So if you do want to swap it up and put fists on him, you can certainly go ahead and do that. Now this is already a fist, so you kind of get an extra fist that has different flame effect. But I guess if you're changing, if you're changing this hand with the molded flames on it, you might want to change this hand with the molded flames on it, so you get a more uniform look, I guess. As far as articulation goes on this guy, the only thing that I will note is that he does have those nice deep cut butterfly joints, so you do get really good sort of range of motion for the shoulder, which I really, really like for figures, to sort of get him, when he's in that flying pose. I think I'd probably put the shoulders back sort of thing, something like that. So that's really the only sort of articulation point that's really worth noting. Other than that, he's just got the standard articulation that you'll see with Marvel Legends, which is not great but not terrible. The Invisible Woman is, of course, going to be just a standard mold. I mean, we've seen this mold a million times with Marvel Legends. Paint apps on this are actually pretty decent. I didn't really have any issues. The only issue that I really have is that, like, the lower legs, I think, are molded in a different color plastic. They must be, because they've actually painted the upper leg. So the upper leg is glossy, or sorry, the lower leg is glossy. The upper leg is sort of a matte finish, which, if I'm being perfectly honest, on my display shelf is not going to bother me at all. But she's not that exciting as far as a figure. But like I said, happy to have the whole team. We do, of course, get difficulty getting a female Marvel Legend to stand. We do, of course, get the sort of invisibility shield effect there, as well as a pair of fists to swap out if you are so inclined. Next up, of course, we have Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic himself. The paint apps on this, the only thing that I noticed is the white is clearly painted over the dark blue of the chest, and it's not super crisp, especially sort of up under the head. But because it's under the head, it's not really that big of a deal. Other than that, paint apps are pretty decent on this guy. Love that we get him in his lab coat look. If I'm perfectly honest, that lab coat is going to come off, and I'm definitely going to use that for kit bash fodder. And I'm definitely going to run him on my shelf, at least, with the Fantastic Four costumed arms. We also get these extended, classic elasticized Mr. Fantastic hands. On my display, I'll probably leave one of those on, and then one of the other hands. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. Not 100% certain. As far as articulation goes, he is absolutely just the standard, Marvel Legends. Does not have the butterfly joint, which I think is a little bit disappointing, but I think maybe that's down to, the ability, sort of the convenience of swapping those arms in and out on a butterfly joint makes it a little bit harder, I guess. Maybe that's going to be the argument for or against. You wouldn't get the articulation in the lab coat anyway. The lab coat would hinder that articulation. But I'm certainly not disappointed. I'm still very happy with that figure. Last, of course, we have Thing. Now this figure looks fantastic. This was definitely the hardest one for me to track down. The rock is sort of a two-tone, so he looks like it's molded in the sort of orange plastic, and then there's sort of a deco of another shade that's sort of across the shoulders, on the head, a little bit on the forearm, a little bit on the feet, a little bit everywhere. That shading isn't perfect. There's a lot of little bits and pieces that I, don't look great. I mean, a shoulder right there, sort of one spot where they kind of missed it. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell when it's shading, um, whether it's a miss or whether that's sort of the way that they had intended for it to look. His articulation is pretty decent. The one thing that I will point out is that he does have like a ball peg um, joint for his torso, so he does get decent range of motion. Um, I mean, for what he is, it's not great. He can lean back a little bit, he can lean forward a little bit, but it does give him a little bit more posability. I guess the waist is just a pivot, which I never like, because you pivot it a little bit and then you sort of see the shelf of his waist there, or conversely, if you're sort of looking up, you see this sort of shelf of his torso. Um, but that being said, you can kind of get away with that because you've got that you got a little bit of a swivel here, so you can kind of get away with using the swivel there instead of using the swivel there. But something to note. I mean, look, let's be honest. If you guys don't have these figures, you're probably not getting them anyway. You're probably not watching this to determine whether or not you're going to get these figures. They came out like a year ago, so anyway, yeah, big chunky feet. Articulation is decent in those. It is sort of the standard, um, rotating ankle, and you do get pretty good range of motion. Because it's all chunky and rocky, you don't even really notice the ankle joint there, which is always a good thing, always a positive plus. But yeah, that's him. He is a big boy. He's heavy. The box is heavy. The figure is heavy. The fists, actually, he comes with spare fists, so you can swap out the open hands for the fists. They had to come in their own little tray that was tucked behind the main plastic tray, because he is so big. He took up the whole package. Again, we get two heads for this guy. So as far as shelf display, this head is not doing it for me. He looks stunned and kind of dopey. I know that he's not the sharpest character in the well, I was going to say the MCU. Soon enough, he's not the sharpest guy in Marvel Comics, but I think this head very much represents him a lot better. I don't want him looking dopey on the shelf. I think he's a cool character. I think he's a great character. I think there's a lot more depth to him than people give him credit. So I'm going to give him that angry sort of growly face, but that's how I'm going to display him. Display him however you like. If you like that dopey face, do your thing. But there you go. Those are the figures. They are fairly standard figures, as far as articulation, as far as bucks go, apart from Thing. Now this is, I believe, the second time that they've used this mold. There was the Walgreens exclusive version as well. They're always going to use molds more than once, so I'm not surprised at all. But as soon as I saw those Walgreens ones, oh, you know what? I think this is the third time, because they did the Walgreens ones, then they did the black costume ones, and then this is the third one. So I don't mind that they're reusing the molds. I think it's it's for cost effectiveness and stuff like this. I didn't get the Walgreens ones. Being in Canada, they never sort of became available to me. I passed on the black costume ones. As much as I like those black costume ones, I passed on those with the hope that we would get this one. This is my favorite sort of look from the comic books, the sort of classic blue. There's different versions, but this version for me is sort of my favorite version. I did also pick up the Hasbro Pulse exclusive fully Invisible Woman, as well as the deflamed or unflamed Human Torch. So I'm not sure, if I'm gonna display them all together or sort of part swap things to sort of have a different version. I'm thinking with Invisible Woman, I may do sort of an arm and a leg invisible with the invisibility shield sort of on one side, and then sort of have a non-invisible side. And then with Human Torch, I don't know. I like him. I like the deflamed look. Again, I think I could pop a leg and an arm maybe on. But I like the deco. I like the design that they used for that head. Um, and I think it fits costume wise, but I don't know. Can't decide. What do you guys think? How should I display them on the shelf? Let me know in the comments. Let me know, which versions of Invisible Woman and Human Torch that you would use. Would you go half and half? Would you just put all the figures out on the shelf? Just have these four plus two more. Maybe they could sort of go behind on the display shelf. I don't know. Let me know. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you like this video and others that I've done, please hit the subscribe button. If you didn't like this video, if you're angry that I'm doing unboxing for old figures and not new ones, feel free to hit the dislike button and let me know in the comments what you think I might be able to improve. I'm always happy to hear feedback. So thanks. Enjoy.